there's a that needs to be clarified and needs to be, so to speak, always remember that the Etzem, who's the Etzem? Etzem is representative of the Creator. Etzem means that which pre-exists the actual presence, that which initiates it. And it initiates it not because there's some kind of a lack, some kind of a need, but because of the reality itself. That's what Etzem. And that reality is provided by the Creator. This doesn't exist in the world itself. Not in the world, not in the human being, not in anything else. The reason that there is the whole phenomenon of procreation is because of the godly presence, and not only because God created everything, but because God said, you procreate. That itself is a godly command that it should procreate. In other words, it is a godly presence that is represented thereby. Let us step back to hashpah ruchnis that we are aware of, that we have a much better handle, understanding of. The mashpiah sechel, right? Everybody knows what that means. And we discussed, hashpah sechel does not mean I'm repeating what I have stashed away, but I'm saying that which I really understand. There are two ways to view a sechel. One is, and we spoke about it many times before, one is because I understand it, and the other is this is universally understandable. If it is based on that I understand it, you can't be mashpiah anything. You could be mashpiah. You mashpiah the fact that you understand it. Like we said the other day, you're not teaching child, understand it because I understand it. Understand it because you understand it. Understand it because you understand it comes from a different source than the fact that I understand it. Hashpah's hasechel is initiated and motivated and brings out the sense that the mashpiah senses that this is a reality beyond his understanding. It's not real because he understands it. This is when he is able to mashpiah. And this is what motivates him to mashpiah. Come on, you understand it, don't you? And, let's understand it together. Because this is a reality that encompasses both of us. If this is true in hashpah's sechel, how much more so is this true in hashpah's havlad hatipa, where we don't begin to understand what this is all about. So that there, we say, guvi etzem hakoyach. let's examine the whole idea of guvi etzem hakoyach. If I want to throw a ball, so my koyach, I use my koyach to throw the ball. This is the hashpah. How do I produce this koyach? I stand on solid ground. And I anchor myself. And then I gather all my koyches and focus them onto the hand, and I throw the ball. If I go with the ball, then I can throw it. In other words, if I can't anchor, I can't throw it. If I'm being thrown, the guvi etzem, I cannot do anything. In order to do an action, I have myself have to be anchored. Then I can do an action. How do we think of a sechel? We sit down and we pose and we think of sechel. You can't be running a marathon and think of sechel. How is it that the mashpiah guv etzem hakoyach? What is the anchor? The answer is, I'm not mashpiah. That, in order to mashpiah guv etzem hakoyach, your base has to be not yours, not what you're making. You are relying on the motivation coming from outside. The koyach to do this, and this is why we say that there is in every koyach there is what's called koyach makifi, and we explain that what is koyach makifi. The koyach makifi is that which brings you in, not lets you know the reality. It brings you into the reality, and then the reality itself is what's supporting you. And from that, the reality comes your own reality out. But what is actually effective, effectuating the whole phenomenon is the fact that, there is the koyach gvul that gives you, that creates you and creates that etzem, guvi etzem in you, and this is what enables it to go. Like we have the analysis of the tree. The tree grows and produces. The tree doesn't produce anything. The tree that is embraced by the koyach of the earth, and because the tree doesn't resist it, like on the contrary, it accepts it. So the koyach of the earth permeates the entire space of the tree, and it can rejuvenate year after year after year. For guvi etzem hakoyach. It truly representative of the tree. If the tree had in mind to be appreciated, hey, look what I'm able to do, forget it, he wouldn't be able to mashpiah. He has to be let alone, he has to dedicate itself and allow the earth to be its mashpiah. It reminds me of an episode that I mentioned a couple of times in class, going back some years, that I was in the office and there was a plant. Remember that story, the plant? We used to go into Dav Mincha in one of the vice president's offices, and he had a plant, a fern plant. And every time into Mincha, we just examine and see how the plant is developing. And it has leaves, and these leaves, the leaves when they first come out, it looks like a branch. It doesn't look like a leaf because it's all full in it. And then eventually, as it grows, as it matures, the leaf unfolds and becomes a living, healthy leaf. So I go in one time, and I see the men twiddling with something, playing around with one of these leaves. Then come the next day, that leaf is still twiddled, contorted. Come the next day, another leaf came out, and the third day, the other leaf that came out later overtook the original leaf completely, and it opened up like a healthy leaf, and the original leaf that he was playing with it never really fully developed into a healthy leaf. It was always contorted. So I asked him, what happened with this thing? He says, I was a fool, he says. The leaf was opening up. He was helping it along. He was helping the leaf along to unfold. That leaf never developed. Why? So we didn't understand that. Because this unfolding is not the function of the leaf. This is not a function. This is a function of the tree, of the koyach elam habayri. Don't interfere with that. If you're focusing on the leaf, say, you leaf, I'm going to help you, forget it. You're canceling its reality, canceling connection to the source. It is extremely important to always remember this. The whole phenomenon of hashpah in general, hashpah, certainly hashpah of procreation, this is the godly presence in the world. Not presence as an original creator, but a functional presence at the moment. And if we say, no, I already have the koyach of procreation, now I can do it on my own, then it doesn't, then it's, if it happened, God forbid, it's it's a contorted leaf. This is what Rebbe says. So, Akiva, you asked me, I should explain the parentheses over here, where it says that even the koyches, meishim hamshoch. There's a parenthesis here, which is a little bit difficult to understand, to relate to. The Rebbe is pointing out the whole time that the tipa is nimshach from the guf Etzem hakoyach, from the essence of the koyach itself, not from his pashtus. So let us take, we took here the other day, a koyach, any koyach, and we identify the guf Etzem hakoyach. We're talking about the functioning koyach, not the koyach as it is in the Etzem hanefesh. The hamshoch is a koyach. The koyach meishu b'hamshoch. The koyach as it is in the functioning level. In that itself, we have to understand the guf Etzem hakoyach and the hispashtus hakoyach. And the tipa is always related to the guf Etzem hakoyach. Now, for example, we said the other day, you go to work. You're going to work, you're using many koyches. One of them is the koyach ha'halicha. Now, koyach ha'halicha, when you walk, there are several things that are taking place. If you identify just to the feet are able to move and propel your movement, and in doing that, you cannot walk without having a destination. You cannot walk nowhere. This is the hispashtus hakoyach. In other words, I'm going to use this koyach to get to accomplish something else. That's the hispashtus. This hispashtus, from the perspective of this koyach, it is a chitzonius koyach. It is not a guf Etzem hakoyach. This does not create the koyach. This utilizes the koyach. So what the Rebbe is saying like this, he pointed out that in a human being, nothing is inadvertent. Nothing is inadvertent. Nothing occurs bypassing his fullest consciousness. But in this consciousness, and therefore he is conscious of the essential inyan, of the essence of the creator, so to speak, and the reality of life, the reality of his own reality, and the reality of his nefesh, and the infinite procreation, and so forth, the eternity of the nefesh. He recognizes all that, and then it goes down, it trickles down into the koiches, because the koiches also have to be engaged. The koich sechel, the koich hamidos, everything is engaged. In that, throughout this entire process, all the koiches that are engaged, there is the hispashtus and the govei Etzem koich at that level. The hispashtus is the ramification of the koich, and the govei Etzem koich is the actual experience of that koich itself. The tipo, which represents the reality of the person, represents the reality of the person in its so to speak, in its inception. But then also it goes through the entire process at all levels, and at all levels it is drawn and it engages the govei Etzem koich. Like we said in our example, that there is the machshava, there's a thought, there's the awareness. In the thought there is the innermost aspect of this thought. Why am I thinking this? What is the koyach behind this thinking? And then there is the functional element of the koyach, of the thought. The functional element of the koyach is just as we said in terms of I'm trying to accomplish something. That's a functional element of the koyach.
And the Etzem of the koyach as well.
I'll give you a very simple example, and what Hashem shall say. It's because I'm the internet mach nicht wissen. I wanted to be b'tznius. I wanted to be b'tznius, and the halacha says, therefore it has to be completely in the dark and be covered. The covering is govei Etzem koich. The result is the hispashtus. Just like in the halicha to work.
Sorry, the result. I'm sorry if I'm being dumb here, but the result, meaning the effect of the covering?
The fact that you are covered. The fact that this is the penis. This is his fastness.
In the going to work example, the halicha, the actual walking, that's the
kook.
And the destination that he's going to work, that's the hispashtus.
What are you trying to accomplish with it?
It's interesting. The first thing that kind of comes to mind is that the idea that you're actually accomplishing something, that seems to be more significant than actually just...
Intellectually it's a higher, but on an essential level, it is not the essence. That doesn't give you the courage to walk.
Right. If you had just that, there would be nothing.
The example that illustrates this, we discussed the oir chayzer. Remember how we discussed oir chayzer?
Yeah. terms of
Oichoize means you throw an object, throw a ball.
the force.
There are two things in this throw. There is a destination and there is the flight, the koyach. Which is more significant? The destination. But where is the koyach?
Even when the destination is blocked,
The destination can't
be
be finished.
But the koyach is
There's
still
nothing there. The koyach persists. That's the reality. Just like in the case of the leaf. I want to be a beautiful leaf. Forget it. That's not going to make you beautiful. I want to grow. Just leave me alone.
This also sounds a lot like matzah and macham, like the
Comments and matzah.
comments in the
This is the unit from Etzem. That Etzem is not our creation. There's not a single koyach that we can create.
That's the bayra.
That's the bayra. Okay? Yes, sir.
When I move my hand in service of the tachlis, the movement itself, this is just a ha'ara of movement in the context of this tachlis. It's not bleed root. But this that I can move my hand, this is bleed root. Why is that not the goof?
Because that's not the hamshocha. That's what you can. It's not the hamshocha. I mean, it depends what you're talking about. Hamshocha. You're talking about koyach hamaskim. You're talking about even the sechel itself. The conscious sechel is also a koyach.
I would think that the goof and etzem of the koyach machshava, let's say, is just the fact that he's thinking, the fact that he's using. There's a thought going on. So how does that fit with what we said about it's the content of the thought, the machshava, the specific kavanas that are important. In other words, if we're talking about the goof and etzem of koyach on every level contributing to the vlad, it's just the fact that, yes, I'm engaged in thought.
I'll tell you what. The Rebbe says like this. If you're thinking about last year's snow, it's nothing to do with tipa. The tipa is not doesn't sense that. The kol koyach hatipa nimshachas means anything that has to do with the hamshachas hatipa.
So the kind of thought that would allow the bayra
kind
to
of
flow
thought that engages the whole thing. In every aspect, there's all kinds of things happen. And being that it is the feature of Etzem. Okay, I'm just reading because I'm going to continue from where we said. Feature of Etzem nimshach b'hashpah. Because that the Etzem is nimshach in this hashpah. Lachem is have a mahusu mitzias davar. Thus, a real mitzias comes to be. Because this is a transplantation of the Etzem. V'hu havlad hamizhave. And that is the vlad that comes to be. The word transplantation came to my mouth, so to speak, and it gives us a means to relate to this thing. Just like in transplantation, the tree can never transplant itself. Right? You take a piece of the tree, take a branch, and transplant it. Transplantation is, by inference, is something that occurs from a koyach outside of the entity. This is the Hamshochet HaTik.
Where did you use the word transplant in the line?
Lochem is have mahus u'mitzius davar, u'avlad ham is have. Mahus u'mitzius davar, not an effect of it, but the actual thing. V'hametzius hamizhave, just want to be already went there with that. V'hametzius hamizhave, and that metzius that comes to be, hu oisei hamehus v'ho atzmus shenim shebashpozes. It is the very mahus and etzem that came. This is where we say this is a transplantation. It isn't that one person begets another. This person is transplanted in another person. This is the very mahus and etzem. Because being that the hashpah consists in the fact that the very essence is nimshach there. Hareho etzem ein nase b'chinas smoke in the dover. The etzem never comes into the state of being a mocker for something. The etzem is the etzem, whatever it is. It is not a resource. It is not giving off a shefa. It is always but it in itself. That's meant etzem. So this we'll leave tomorrow, Mr. Shem. Okay, now I think we are up to this point. Have a great day. The most important point which I wanted to remind ourselves is how is all this coming into Jesus? Is all this pointing to this truth of the godly presence in the world, in our world. We're not starting anatomy. We're understanding how this is what we're learning about. All right. Have a great day.